Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Castle Crashers. So we were playing around and seeing what would happen if we played as one of the other characters instead of the Red Knight, and it basically resets your whole game, with a small difference in the fact that you can use weapons that you found in your first playthrough, but then the weapons are limited to the level of your character. So really, it only slightly improves your starter weapons. It doesn't do anything for the individual character's stats, and it doesn't make any sense at all because you're effectively unlocking new characters, so that would mean at least 7 gameplays completely, maybe a little bit less if you were using the pet, which also unlocks, but it really doesn't make sense at all. Like, the only thing I could think is that maybe if you're playing local multiplayer, you could then lend your stronger character to like a little brother, little sister scenario, and then, for instance, the stronger character, in this case level 25, you give that to somebody who's new to the game, let them survive while you are trying to power level your secondary characters. That's assuming that these characters can be selected on local or online multiplayer. I mean, it would have to be local, and I'd have to have a second controller plugged in for that to actually work. But if you are going to just have the single player experience, you're going to unlock new characters like this that really don't seem like they would give you much of a different experience, and try and power level them on top of the other 3 base characters. There's at least 7 playthroughs worth of characters in this game, because the storyline resets for each of the characters, and in all actuality it's probably closer to 3 more, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to 10 playthroughs. So the little red in the lower right hand corner is the minimum level you'd have to have. So you'd have to use this pet that I have, the giraffe, and then pick one of these weapons up to, I guess, right about here, and that's the only starting set that you can really deal with as a new game plus options. Then you really don't seem to get any benefit from doing arenas the second time, because I've done it like 2 or 3 times now, and you still would have to go through all the levels, so you're still in a kind of boring experience. And let's see, we've got a split in the path over here if we can actually finish this level. So here we have a soldier who's turned into a statue. So are we going to fight a Cyclops or something else? We need a horn. How can we need a horn when we haven't found the horn? Oh, interesting. I have no horn. I could waste a sandwich, which are expensive. What is going on here? Seriously? They brought me to this area just to see that I couldn't go any further in that area, and then they unlocked the next area. Wow. What a weird way to design a game, just to, I guess, kind of remind the players that that they can exit to the menus. Here we've got some peasants actually helping us, which we haven't seen the peasants since the beginning of the game, with the exception of the arena's background. There is something, though, to be said about having 3 other characters fight with you. I'm immediately distracted, and there's really not a great excuse for it because I am the bright red guy, the enemies are the bright white, grayish white colors, and the peasants are brown. But there's definitely a lot on the screen, and when you get away from the idea that everything on the screen is just an enemy and should be killed, it definitely does change the experience. You can see that they are doing about 4 damage. So I'm doing about 17 damage. It totally is a different experience, though, having these guys take on the enemies, just pull fire from them, and not make it so much of a single one-on-one fight scenario. But you also kind of run into the problem of this game still having basically the same thing happen over and over again. They're trying little different things here, as I'm completely desecrating this graveyard, which might be an achievement, might not. Feels like it could easily have been one. We might as well grind and try and get gold. This might be about the best place to try and grind and get gold. Even though you're still really only picking up 1 gold. We need to find a pet, I suppose, that would double or triple the amount of gold that gets dropped. And we saw one pet that was like 300 gold that would increase the drops of lucky items. So maybe that's the way that you would accomplish that. I'm just pressing Y, by the way. I'm not doing any fancy attacks or anything like that. We now have a... Let's see, if I take this, it's just attack +1 plus skull crushing, which is not as good as what I have, but we did find a new weapon, and finding new weapons is about the only permanent increases. And here we've got the guy that we saw summon the creatures before. Alright, so the peasants seem to have immediately absconded with themselves. And then we've got these guys that we can try to jump over their heads and then hit them on the ground with a hard hit. But you're gonna have to be fairly careful. Not to die. Because these guys are doing about 30 damage to me, and I'm getting about 7 damage to them. And there's not really a good setup here. The little characters, I think we pretty much need to just avoid, and we are getting tossed around into other enemies, and that is turning into a better system for damage than anything else. I mean, we could try something like this, and it didn't work. Like, it's not really gonna work as far as a spell attack until we can get rid of probably at least one more of the big guys. So every little fight, you either hope that you are close to a level up, And even with the increased level ups, that's really not happening. Or you are hopefully full of enough potions to recover from it, but not really. There, I hit the B button on accident, but that wasn't too much of a waste because I was about to die anyways. I suppose I could have the pet that would knock down people. That might be helpful. There we go. I suppose you don't really need to dig in these graves. Yeah, there's nothing in the graves. So we have some now green, like light emerald swords, magic swords, I guess, that are attacking us. And they seem to have some kind of nature magic. They kind of look like what you would expect the guards from the Emerald City in Wizard of Oz to be. How you integrate the Wizard of Oz into this universe, I don't know, but I don't think it really matters too much. Anyways, we haven't seen the little thief characters show up in quite a while also. Interesting, the coin dropped where the body was instead of the head. These guys seem to be fairly manageable. I kind of would like to see all the characters turn into being fairly manageable to the point where you can pull off tricks like that more consistently. The problem with this attack is that you kind of have to let the enemy drop down a little bit, and you can't just wiggle backwards and forwards. You have to actually keep an eye on where the enemy is, and they do tend to swing to the other side, which is just an odd reaction. I think you could have much easier pulled off that combo if they would just stay in the same place. And maybe there is something I'm doing that is affecting that, I don't know. There's a frog jumping around and we can't do anything with that. And here we have a big little character. So it is trying to be like a back to nature, like world, almost like elfish, if elves were traditionally known for building medieval castles instead of more forest style buildings that are in tune with nature. Last time we fought those little, the big guy covered in ash, the other smaller guys covered in ash died. Not the case this time. There's a problem with how fast things despawn. It is extremely fast. Again, if there was 4 players, that probably wouldn't be anywhere as big a deal. But on single player, they should increase the delay time, or just not have it despawn at all. It's not too hard to have a single screen, have everything on the screen, and stay there. And then as soon as you walk off of the screen, it would just despawn at that point. So, are we trying to keep the peasant alive, or are we just using the peasant as a backup fighter? Feels like for a single player experience, I probably should just have 3 peasants with me at all times. because that's the experience they wanted everybody to have. So, and clearly they programmed it to work that way. So that at least you could have gone half of the time. And here we have a giant pheasant. And now we have a new animal that I don't know what it does, so we'll have to just stick with our leveling up animal, who honestly I can't imagine isn't just the best animal to have until you're close to a maximum level. Like, if we've got 5 more levels to go and it turns out that there's if we have 5 more levels on the map to go and we have 1 more RPG experience level left, then it probably isn't worth it to go through those 5 levels trying to reach a max level and too early. And getting gold is a secondary goal, certainly. Elves would make more sense in a fantasy medieval universe. It would make a lot more sense than aliens, ancient aliens making pyramids, or pirates, ninjas and pirates. They merged them together too. Like, there was an opportunity on that sail ship to fight actual apparently everybody else got lost in the cornfield, so now we're fighting a giant corn. Interesting. And this is reminiscent of Cuphead, except for this came out many years before Cuphead ever came out, so really it's more just reminiscent of old cartoons. Oh, the corn is health. Interesting. So we just need to get up here and smack this as much as possible. It doesn't seem like it really has any attacks at all. It's almost as if they are trying to do something here. That they're trying to like fill your health up. Do I want to use a sandwich on this? Because this is not moving very fast. Yeah, all of a sudden it starts doing a major attack that way. But my major attack doesn't really work that far, so like I can use magic, but as long as you get up here and attack him, you're kind of fine. So it just feels like they didn't program this particularly well to be aware of knowing how to do this one maneuver. And now that I'm starting to take some health damage, the popcorn doesn't really fill us up enough. Let's see, we'll eat all that popcorn. It all falls in one linear line, even though you can go through the foreground and the background. Maybe as the character is losing more kernels, he'll take damage faster. That could be the case. Like, even this scenario where they are spawning a decent amount of stuff, it's really not that much that you would need to save the visual RAM to depict it, particularly since there's only 3 or 4 styles of these kernels, these popcorn anyways, just getting repeated. And having an animator animate 3 different types of popcorn seems a little bit silly for one single fight. You could have had popcorn as a food item throughout the entire game. And then had this fight late into the game, which we are kind of late into the game. And honestly, after the alien part, I don't remember much of this game, probably because I checked out on just how silly that section was, and how like world breaking the idea of fighting aliens in a game called Castle Crashers is. And I guess in this previous level we did technically crash someone else's castle, but we're hardly doing that every time. This guy is hitting me and doing extremely minimal amounts of damage. And if I can just get like one good hit on him, I'm still capable of doing more damage to him than he is doing to me. Seems like his attack may have changed somewhat. This almost feels like you're gonna fight another boss right after this, and the next boss is gonna be particularly challenging, so they're trying to let you gain health back up. Or at the very least, this is a nice experiment that went nowhere for them as far as balancing the game out so you're not always using health potions. But clearly that went nowhere, because almost every other fight in the game you are using 2 or 3 health potions, which I should probably equip. And he's almost out of little coins on him, and he's almost out of health. One hit does not equal losing 1 coin. It seems like it is just his appearance changes based on his health bar. So he just lost 1 coin after many hits. He's got 3 left. And it really doesn't matter to have to look at that visual indicator, because you can just look at the health bar at the bottom, which arguably would be kind of in the way if 4 people were playing at the same time. Also, these fights, all of them would be 4 times faster. But yeah, I don't know what you do about the health bar. One shared boss bar at the bottom is probably right. I just kind of wish it was on the very edge of the bottom. And it might not be a bad idea in this case, since these characters have such a large amount of health anyways, to just not bother to show people how close they are, because if I was to say die right now, it would only be frustrating to know that I was only a few hits away from defeating him. And it's an interesting idea. We'll see after this fight to see if we can just turn off the heads-up displays. I don't think you can, because then you would have no indicator of your health. But maybe we could turn off boss bars. He's now completely coinless. He's just a cob. And he's locked into a new attack style that's proving to be a nightmare to get that last hit on him. I may very well have to use a yeah, I'm gonna have to use a potion just to this is a nightmare. What I want to do, throw a bomb. May have to throw a bomb. We'll use the bow and arrow since that's infinite. If I'm not careful, he's gonna is gonna literally cause me to use another health potion. Like, I can jump up into a spin and his attack is so fast that it's just locking me into a stun lock. Oh, this is so dumb. Oh man, that sucked. That completely and totally sucked. And they got the horn for us, and they're just gonna bring it out and hand it to us. Great. But then that means we can't pick up any of the corn pieces, so that sucks. Also, that goes to show that clearly the whole screen could have been full of collectibles pickups. New arena unlocked. Okay, what are we trying to do? One here and one here. Just trying to get everything up to the max. There's a boomerang, or what looks like a boomerang item that we need to collect. Also, Swamp Village store. 290 we can't afford. 11 for these. That's actually a very good deal. 19 for those. Here's a 310 level 15 weapon. And again, you can't walk on the right side of the screen. Don't hit me. So we have a peasant arena. And 5 gold. And a new horn. We need to figure out if the horn does anything else, though. We're walking in water, so this might bring back the usefulness of that seahorse friend. Interestingly, it seems like these guys don't die particularly quickly, but they do jump up in the air, which, if you are careful, might work for these flying attack Y jump attacks to get above their heads and do as much damage to them as possible. And hitting them on the ground kind of works, but not so much. Yeah, I don't think the horn is gonna do anything. Let's see how these guys like getting shocked. They seem to definitely disagree with it. So if we can convince a bunch of them to be in a line and not hit me with poison attacks. That's nice. Yeah, it seems like there's some kind of definite elemental damage by attacking water-based creatures with lightning, which kind of makes the red character with the lightning ability not as good as he looked on his first character selection screen. And it is sluggish. Hopefully there's no secret in that area. And here we have a giant aquatic creature shaking the hand of a giant land-based creature. And we'll have to keep an idea out to see if there is a a buried treasure anywhere. They seem like these guys move faster when they're not in the water either. So I'm not sure that outside of water the attack scenario is the same. Yeah, he just did a dive attack that we haven't seen before. I'm getting better at killing these guys, but I'm still nowhere close to like a one-hit kill. Let's see. Interesting. The horn does seem to hit things, but not really accomplish anything else. And all these statues do make me feel like there's gonna be a Medusa-like creature. Yeah, I kind of have to just assume that these are either Earth-based wizard magicians in the green, or that they are elves, and they just wanted to animate all the elves in this unique art style, which big cylindrical heads as an art style is, I suppose, different. I don't know if it ever was going to really win, but then again, if you look at Funko Pops, those statues are hideous, and yet they've been able to promote themselves well enough to the point where people are collecting them. Or I think a big thing about the success of Funko Pops, for whatever success they've had, comes down to them actually not being particularly expensive or cheap, and then being included in a lot of blind box monthly services that were the rage for a brief time there. Mystery box ideas. And I never fell into any of those blind box, mystery box offerings. Some of them seemed like they might have been appealing if you kind of knew what you were getting, but you kind of never do, and that's the whole trick to it. So even though they may say that the retail value of something is over $200 for a box you're paying $50 for, it could easily be that's just because their suggested retail price on all the items that they're putting in the box are way marked up and they didn't sell, and that's what's really getting put in those boxes. It's just items that did not sell that they have an overstock. And wanting just random things is no way to really live your life, because you're not going to find any real love for items that way. Interesting. It does seem like I can go up here, but it kind of seems like I stop at this point. I can't see the guys, so that would be an incredibly annoying fight scenario to go up in that area. The idea that there's a bunch of shoes here probably is art that they were going to have different pieces of art or armory, like shoes, chest plates, helmets, things like that, to customize your character. Instead of doing that, you unlock different characters, which is a terrible alternate way of doing that. And it does make this hack and slash game less RPG like, when you can't get different armors, and then all you have is your single weapon changing things. Even your shield, which it's easy to forget you even have a shield, does not play any role. Yeah, you can walk back there, I guess just because the enemies can walk back there. And yeah, all the mirrors are broken. And shoes. And here we have Medusa. She's wearing one giant stiletto boot. So I don't know. I don't know what she thought she was up. I don't know why I'm not just getting turned into stone immediately. And I don't know why the game all of a sudden has decided to be closer to like a Cuphead game where you're fighting mythological creatures. Everything up until this point has been specifically a... Oh, I need to drink a potion. I'm getting poison damage, I think, pretty heavily. I guess if she hits me with that beam, I'll probably get turned into a statue. But I assume that I won't die immediately because of that. If she has a boot on her tail, that also very likely is a weak point. Yeah, if you can get behind her, you can hit the boot and she won't be facing you. But it's fairly easy to figure out what to do. You just sit on the ground and not go with an air attack, which is different from what we've been doing for the past hour or most of the game. And then just attack with your strong attacks. We'll even hit her with the lightning, and yeah, that did a pretty large amount of damage too. I wouldn't think snakes would enjoy being combed. It's a funny idea, I suppose. Not comedically funny, but unique. And so now we have a new weapon. So do more magic and damage. Well, agility still needs to catch up, but it probably wouldn't be terrible if we did have a second tier magic attack too. So next, and this also proves that the area on the map, I wish there was a way to zoom out further, the area to the left there does not connect to this section. So yeah, we're going to a late full moon section. And yeah, we haven't been digging in anything. We are now fighting some Black Knight characters and giant boulders. It kind of feels like there's the reindeer in the back, the poo-propelled reindeer flying across the moon. Nice little callback. Not really a lot of visual gags in this game though. The visual gags are kind of the enemies, and I don't know if I'd really call them super comedic. These guys are such a pain. And I died. Probably should go back and buy some more potions, honestly. You have to jump up and then hit these guys, and then they'll throw you for 50 damage, or I guess maybe a lightning shot might work with these guys. There's a reindeer in the background. Your X attack actually does seem to propel you forward. Boy, does this feel slow. If you had 4 players playing at the same time, maybe each of them could come out this guy, and one could distract him and the other 3 could attack from behind. But the single player experience here is particularly bad. And he's hitting me with an arrow. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to cough. Yep. So that first fight was pretty terrible, and then we get thrown with another fight that's kind of the exact same thing. Did we learn anything from the first fight other than use magic and just don't take too much damage and start your attack on the magic fairly far away from the guy, otherwise he's going to wreck you. There's tweaks definitely that could have been made in this whole system. I would be much happier if it did 18 damage instead of 9 right now, and then lasted half as long. So double the damage, reduce the time it takes. That's an easy way to keep the numbers exactly the same and yet just have a faster experience. Also, then it would allow the music, not the music, the magic to recover faster too if it was half as long, and that speeds the whole process up too. The only reason why the mana depletes at all is just so you can't spam it doing this the whole time. And the fact that I can spam it twice when doing that anyways still kind of shows that the balance is off. There's really never going to be a case where you fight somebody and you only want a half attack with the magic. You're going to want to burn your entire mana pool. I want to be careful to kind of kill this guy before the other two get too close. At least that was my hope. I'm going to go ahead and use a potion. Facing the absolute wrong direction. I mean, there's really no getting around this. This is really slow. And the way they've seemingly balanced the game is to just, in this area, have us only fight 3 characters instead of some previous areas where we fought 4 or 5 characters. And I imagine they'll eventually get to the point where they are having us fight 4 or 5 of these characters at the same time. And we almost certainly will have a big boss fight where we're taking on 3 or 4 of those armored. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. People banging on my door. Let's continue. So we've got a new weapon over here. Let's see what this new weapon really does. Seems to have a crit ability, which we're stuck with it now. So crit abilities might come into better play. It does feel faster, certainly. It definitely does feel like you are able to hit X here and get a large group of people down, which is something that my previous weapon didn't seem like it really could do. It feels like, oh, I just died. It does kind of feel like we are in this position where the weapons might be drastically more helpful than they would appear at the first glance. See, I think we're gonna wrap it up a little bit early today. Let's just see what this new creature did. Increases your defense but decreases your agility. That's not very helpful. Did we have anything else that we had found? No, not as far as that goes. And then let's see what the weapons are. It would be nice if potions did get cheaper everywhere, but it does feel like the potions actually are different prices in different places. So that's not too bad. This is what we were basically using before. And then -1 magic plus 3 defense might be interesting. +3 magic plus 3 defense and agility sounds interesting. +1 damage and 1 strength and head crushing. -2 strength plus 5 agility. There's an argument to use that. Still seems like there's a lot of weapons to get. Well, I'm going to end it here. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.